Proverbs 31, verses 25 through 31. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she smiles at the future. She opens her mouth in wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and bless her, her husband also, and he praises her, saying, "Many daughters have done nobly, but you excel them all." Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her the product of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. So, hello, everyone, or the 4 people who are here. I know Wednesdays, it's never a big count. I'll just say that. So, hello, Marie, and hello, Carly. That took all of 2.2 seconds. So, no, we are going to be diving into a very special account, one that, probably, maybe overlooked. So just give me a thumbs up real quick while I'm still chit-chatting. Sound is okay. Carly, I'm sure you would tell me right away, though, if it was not. So I'm assuming it sounds okay. Yeah, that'd be great. So thumbs up. Okay, perfect. So tonight's going to be short, so I'm just going to get right to it. The last 2 weeks that we did the 2-parter of Mary were pretty lengthy, and I like to keep these short. But however, I do have I guess an update of where Wednesdays are going to be. So the Women in the Bible series, next week we're going to be discussing Mary Magdalene, which is probably going to be a very short one as well. Unlike the series The Chosen, there's really not much to glean from Mary, especially with her backsliding. So anyway, that's next week. And then the following week is going to be really just a collective unification of all the women in the New Testament regarding their role once the church age began. And then after that, I'm going to see where the Lord leads this podcast to be on Wednesday. I like the Bible study undertone to it. Absolutely. I think it's a break in the monotony of our lives. And clearly people do not come here to learn about the Bible, which is sad. So with that being said, if you're watching this live or on post, if there is a particular book that maybe you would like to start or for us to start going through, you can either put it in the comment section of this particular video. You can put it in here now. Or you can shoot me a email and let me know. But anyway, that's so the Women in the Bible this week and then the next 2 weeks, and this will actually close out this series. So not bad, 31 episodes. And I know I probably could have gone into a lot more women in the Bible, but these were just the ones that really were highlighted. The Old Testament, of course, takes a lot more. So anyway, please, again, if you want me to cover something, I really like the Wednesday night Bible study feel. I would really like to keep them about 30 minutes each Wednesday, 20 to 30, to be honest with you. So if there's a book in the Bible that you would like for me to, cover, you guys just go ahead. Sorry, I'm fixing something here, so you might hear a little noise. You guys just go ahead and let me know. Okay. All right. So without further ado, I don't even know if I say that right. So hello, I see Vanessa has joined. Mama has joined. So hello. I know Carly's really good at saying hello to everyone. And again, it's not a busy chat here. So I'm assuming that, oh wait, that's Glenda. Hi, Glenda. Hi. It just dawned on me. I hope you're doing well. So, yeah, so we're going to dive right in. The passages that we are going to be dissecting tonight. So this is what we're going to be talking about, the woman who anointed Jesus. And the passages that we're going to be diving into if you want to write these down. Again, I don't know if you're a note taker. Matthew chapter 26, verses 6 through 13. I just noticed a space there. Mark chapter 14, verses 3 through 9, and John chapter 12, 1 through 8. So Matthew and Mark are relatively similar. John gives a lot more context. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read each of these three accounts. And as I literally just stated a half a millisecond ago, John gives, as usual, right? If we read anything that John has penned, whether the book of John, the first, second, and third John, and absolutely the book of Revelation, there's attention to detail that John gives. And I believe that we get there too from John, because you remember, he laid his head upon Jesus's chest just to hear, to get closer to what the master was saying. So I tend to kind of, if there's three accounts, or if it's in Matthew and John, I'm going to tend to lean towards more, not that what Matthew's saying is not true, by all means, I'm not saying that, but John does give, I feel like he's paying attention where others are maybe, telegramming or texting or TikToking or something. But anyway, so let's go ahead. They're going to be on the screen here. Let's dive in first to Matthew chapter 26, verses 6 through 13. Now, when Jesus was in Bethany at the home of Simon the leper, remember, he healed him previously, that's why he's there now, a woman came to him with an alabaster vial of very costly perfume, and she poured it on his head. So keep that in mind, because in John it's different, as he reclined at the table. But the disciples were indignant when they saw this, and said, "Why this waste? For this perfume might have been sold for a high price, and the money given to the poor." But Jesus, aware of this, said to them, "Why do you bother the woman? For she has done a good deed to me. For you always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me. For when she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. Truly I say to you, wherever the gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be spoken of in memory of her." Mark 14:3-9, pretty similar. While he was in Bethany at the home of Simon the leper, and reclining at table, there came a woman with an alabaster vial of very costly perfume of pure nard. I couldn't speak there. And she broke the vial and poured it over his head. But some were indignantly remarking to one another, "Why has this perfume been wasted? For this perfume might have been sold for over 300 denarii and the money given to the poor." And they were scolding her, but Jesus said, "Let her alone. Why do you bother her? She has done a good deed to me. For you always have the poor with you, and whenever you wish, you can do good to them. But you don't always have me. She has done what she could. She has anointed my body beforehand for the burial. Truly, I say to you, whenever the gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be spoken in memory of her." And let me go ahead and read the final account. John chapter 12, verses 1-8. Jesus, therefore, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was. Keep that time frame in mind there. Whom Jesus had raised from the dead. So they made him a supper there, and Martha was serving, but Lazarus was one of those reclining at the table with him. Mary then took a pound of very costly perfume of pure nard and anointed the feet, notice the difference, of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, see how it changes there? One of his disciples, who was intending to betray him, said, "Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and given to poor people?" Now he said this not because he was concerned about the poor, but because he was a thief, as he had the money box. He used to pilfer that's steal, what was put into it. Therefore Jesus said, "Let her alone, so that she may keep it for the day of my burial. For you always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." So a lot more context added to John. Oh my gosh. Hey, Mike. I didn't mention anything. But if you want to, I'm sure people in this room would love to pray for your family at this time as well. But good to see you. Good to see you. Okay. So we just read those three accounts. And the reason I wanted to do that, as always, we do read in the Bible that, sometimes things are written from a different perspective. So it's kind of like me, Marie, Mary, Joe. Now, since I know Mike is here, Mike and Carly all seeing something happening, but from our perspective, we're seeing different things. So let us dissect this as it should be. The opening verse to this chapter is when the chapter of Matthew. Let's start there. And it's very simple. I think I might have that. Yes. So Matthew 26, it says, when Jesus had finished all these words, I underline that. If you have a Bible handy, you might want to underline it there as well. He said to his disciples, you know that after 2 days, so notice the time frame here, right? The Passover is coming. So in how many days? 2 days. And in John's account, we clearly know that it was 6 days before Passover. So a 4-day time span was going on. What was happening during that time? Them sitting in the house of Simon the leper. And the Son of Man is to be handed over for crucifixion. Now it switches. It goes into something different here. It says, then the chief priests and the elders of the people were gathered together in the court of the high priest, named Cephas, whatever his name is, Caiaphas, I don't know, sure. And they plotted together to seize Jesus by stealth and kill him. But they were saying, not during the festival, otherwise a riot might occur among the people. So anyway, when Jesus had finished all these words, what does that mean? At that moment, it is fulfilling him saying, hey, my earthly ministry is now over. Technically, what is now fulfilled in the Old Testament has now been fulfilled. That is why in verse 2, Jesus says, hey, listen, my earthly ministry is done because the Son of Man is going to be killed and handed over for crucifixion. The next verse, 3 through 5, as I just said, it jumps to another scene. And then it jumps into what we just read about Jesus reclining at table. And all the while, they are planning to kill him. So as I stated previously, and it's going to be an underlying theme here, Matthew and Mark's recordings are less detailed than John. John gives us names. The woman who poured the oil on Jesus's head was Mary, not Jesus's mother, not Mary Magdalene. It was Mary, the sister of not only Martha, but also Lazarus. The disciple who was indigent was Judas Iscariot. But clearly from Matthew and Mark's account, Judas must have been leading other disciples to bicker along with him. So just think about it this way. For any of us girls who work in an office setting, I'm guilty of it probably every single day, if I can be honest. I don't want to say every single day, but at least 3 days out of the 5. We sit in an office setting. Someone comes over, they start telling you a story. As we just sit there and we hear the story. And maybe because of what gossiping is going on, right? And I'm guilty of it. I'm never going to sit here and say I don't gossip because that would be a lie. Or I'm not part of the gossip. But at that point, the person maybe heading up the conversation to gossip and tell the story has now engaged the other coworkers to side with her. Makes sense? That's what was happening in this room. So although Matthew and Mark were saying disciples and John was very clear it was Judas, if you put them all together, there was a group of disciples being led by Judas Iscariot, though, to become indigent. I hope that makes sense. I was trying to make that as clear as possible. What I find fascinating here with this account is wheat and tares are seen here. Judas having an outward shape. I want to roll that in, right? A form of an outward shape. Yet at any given moment, Judas would leave that and go run and betray Jesus. However, the other disciples who may have been part of what Judas was doing, who don't have an outward shape, who actually want to follow the master, the way, when they heard Jesus speak, Judas left. Judas's greed took over, and we know that from what follows in the passages of both Matthew, Mark, and John. It goes into what Judas did. Judas then set out to betray Jesus. But then here you have the true believers. Once they hear what Jesus was saying, at that point, why were they reacting that way? Because Jesus knows our thoughts. Let me put this on the screen here. Can you imagine if after every thought we've had and have current, Jesus gave us an audible concerning these thoughts? So let me just sit on that for a moment. So keep that in mind. How would that change the way that we think of things? How would that change the way that we speak things? If Jesus said, hey, Kim, I see it, I hear it. We think that sometimes that little thought might have passed him by. So Judas, we don't know what he was thinking. Jesus did, though, and he explained it in the passage. So John also tells us that this perfume was very expensive and it was worth a year's wages. So just put it in context. What is your yearly salary? Would you give that away? I mean, I don't know how I would answer that question in all transparency, right? I have bills to pay. I've got, your mind begins to like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I mean, got a car payment, actually just got a new car. So I got a car payment, I got rent, I got bills. I don't know, Lord, if I can do that. But yet this woman, through faith, said, here, take it all. That's literally what she said, was take it all. Would you give it away if there was a prompting to do that? So I want to read one more time, please, the account in John. John chapter 12, verses 1 through 8. Therefore, 6 days before the Passover, and I explained why I wanted to highlight that, because in Matthew's account or Mark's account, one of them, it was 2 days. So I wonder again, what was happening, what was transpiring between the second and the sixth day. I know that might not sound important, but when I read the Bible, I just notice little things like that. So came to Bethany where Lazarus was, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. It doesn't say Lazarus's home. Clearly, they are definitely in the home of Simon the leper. It is who Jesus healed. Lazarus is also important to the account because many Jews, as we'll learn here in just a few moments, many Jews came to faith after seeing Lazarus alive. So anyway, then it says, so they made him supper there. So it was at this point that maybe the gathering began. They're reclining at table. You know, you got to remember their culture is a lot different than other cultures. Everything that the Middle Eastern culture does is revolved around food. Martha, which is also Lazarus' sister, was serving. But Lazarus was one of those reclining at the table with him. Very clear. It was Mary then took a pound of very costly perfume and anointed the feet. So again, in the other ones, it said head. But reading commentary, they make it clear that if you're reclining at table, it could be both, right? But definitely the feet were anointed. And it says, but Judas Iscariot, so we definitely know that the disciple that was belligerent, if I can use that term, was most definitely Judas Iscariot. And I know this for a fact because John was so detailed. Now he said this, not because he was concerned about the poor, but because he was a thief. And then John continued to say, you know why? Because he used to steal the money from the money that was put in it. And then Jesus was making a point when he said, but you don't always have me. That is why he began Matthew with what we read. After Jesus was finished saying all of these words, He was telling those in that room, hey, my earthly ministry is coming to an end. And Mary, I mean, let's just put ourselves in that situation. Mary, upon hearing that, all she had to do was hear what Jesus said and knew my master's leaving me. My rabbi is leaving me. I need to prepare him for his burial. So where the disciples didn't believe, Mary did believe. So again, when they questioned or when they were thinking thoughts, Jesus knew. Jesus knowing their hearts and thoughts. He knows our hearts and thoughts just as much as he knew back then that he knows about us right now. So again, I propose the question. Can you imagine if after every thought we've had, Jesus gave an audible to us concerning those thoughts? Would it make us think differently? So Mary, it costed her everything. It cost her everything. A year's salary. Took her most expensive vial of perfume to prepare him for burial. Mary believed and she knew his time was coming to an end. So some believe, and I'm definitely in that camp, in this dialogue, what we read, something happened, something sent Judas off the edge. And then, of course, we all know the story, how he betrayed Jesus. Judas was a thief, and his concern was never giving to the poor. At the scene here, Mary giving all she earned from this perfume jar. And then she did the complete opposite of what the betrayer would do. In verses 14 and 15, we know this to be the case because it jumps to this account. And it says, then one of the 12, this is right after what we just read, and this is what it says after that. Then one of the 12, named Judas Iscariot, so something made him leave, something made that situation transpire for now Matthew to pen this. And he went to the chief priests and said, what are you willing to give me to betray him to you? And they weighed out 30 pieces of silver to him. I understand how the chosen portrays Judas. And it's a sickening way in how they do that. Mark and Matthew's account are pretty much the same. And in both accounts, the gospel is mentioned. However, we did not read that in John, if my memory serves me. He just ended it with, for you always have the poor. He didn't explain what he did in Matthew and Mark. At least John didn't pick up on that. But the gospel being preached, that is Jesus right there. The very first announcement of the good news about me will be preached. And in that time, not our current time, clearly, it was in that time, right after Jesus ascended, that not only would the gospel go forth, but her fame, if I can say that way, Mary's fame would continue. Her name would be extended long after the church age began. We know again that this account took place 6 days before Passover. And I'm wondering, I'm curious as to what happened during the second and the sixth day, what happened during those 4 days. So John sets the scene in his account. Dinner was being prepared by Martha. And it was at this time that Mary, mind you, the only other female mentioned in the account is Martha. So Mary, in her boldness, walked around. If we all know the picture of what they look like reclining at table, it's not like a dining room table, right? They're like sitting on a cushion, and a long table with a spread of food. And Mary We don't know what was happening in the room. I'm sure there was stuff going on and talking here and talking there, Jesus and whatever they're saying at the table. And then Mary walks through a crowd of men, bickering men, unbelieving men. And she did the very thing that men should do. And if I could just say this is a good example of how a man needs to lead a home. It should have been the man standing up. Not that he has a vial of perfume, but you guys get my point. Believing what Jesus was saying. That, hey, I'm going to be crucified. And Mary knew, hey, now's the time I need to prepare my master for burial. So I guess when I was reading it, I just seen the scene. The cooking of the dinner, the talking amongst the men around the table. And here comes this woman. And the other thing that caught my attention is that when John said the house was filled with fragrance from the perfume, and I was reflecting upon the fragrant smell in heaven. Right here on earth, we have some good smells. Don't get me wrong. When I wash my hands with Myers, it's a birch wood, or in my bathroom, I've got gingerbread, and I'm sure we have candles and all sorts of special little scents for our noses. But can you imagine how fragrant heaven is? I love it. And as I stated previously, the room was just not full of just Jesus and his disciples. The room was also full of many Jews witnessing Lazarus from the dead. And because of that, the Bible says that many believed. John was an eyewitness to much of Jesus's ministry, as we know. Therefore, I think in his account, the details truly do matter. Mary understood what some of the disciples did not. This was their time, the disciples' time, so to speak, to show the same kind of love that Mary showed to Jesus. This was a limited event, and Mary participated. I don't know, were the disciples amongst Jesus just not paying attention to what Jesus was saying? Jesus was literally saying, you will not always have me, but you'll always have the poor and the needy and the destitute. Pay attention to this time. Mary said, I am paying attention to this time. Again, I'm being repetitive tonight for a reason. The love of my master will now be shown because I'm paying attention to what my master is telling me. It is a beautiful story of what Mary did. So that, my friends, literally brings this episode in for a close. However, what I would like to do, so Mike said, good point, Kim. I love how the New Testament portrays women as the first ones to believe. Amen. It is such a great validation of its accuracy. Amen. I agree. If you were going to concoct a fake story in that culture, you wouldn't make the women yeah, amen. I like that, Mike. I never even thought about that. Hello, Yvette. I just saw that you came. Roaring Lion is here. So anyone else that I may have missed, I do apologize. So a long time ago, there was a song. I want to close with this because you may have heard the song as well. And I used to sing this song all the time. And I thought the song it just touched me. It just touched my heart because I was like, oh, Lord, this song is for me. Oh, well, no, the song is not biblical at all. So the song is by CeCe Winans, and it's entitled Alabaster Box. And I don't know, again, if you guys know that song or not. But what I want to do is I want to close tonight, sort of, and then I'll say goodbye after I read. But with the lyrics to this song. And I want you don't have to, again, I don't do these things for you to tell me what I want to hear. I do them for you to reflect upon things. Kind of like if Jesus literally gave us an audible on our thoughts every day, how would we change our stinking thinking? Okay. So anyway, I want you to make the decision of what we hear from what we just read tonight very briefly. So I'm going to put the lyrics on the screen, and here we go. So it starts, the room grew still as she made her way to Jesus. So she kind of I'm not going to sing it, but that's how CC does it, right? She stumbles through the tears that made her blind, right? So she goes on. Have we read any of that so far in what we read? She stumbles through the tears that made her blind. No. She felt such pain. Some spoke in anger. Heard folks whisper, there's no place here for her kind. I don't know what Mary and Alabaster Box CC want. And again, girls, guys who are listening to this, I know it's mostly girls. I sang the heck out of this song that this was me. I used to cry when I sang this song. Okay. Still on she came through the shame that flushed her face until at last she knelt before his feet. And then she spoke no words. Everything she said was heard as she poured her love for the master from her box of alabaster. I've come to pour my praise on him like oil from Mary's alabaster box. Don't be angry if I wash his feet with my tears and I dry them with my hair. You weren't there the night he found me. You didn't feel what I felt when he wrapped his love around me. And you don't know the cost of the oil in my alabaster box. I can't forget the way life used to be. I was a prisoner to the sin that had me bound. And I spent my days, poured my life without measure into a little treasure box I thought I'd found. Until the day when Jesus came to me and healed my soul and the wonder of his touch. So now I'm giving back to him all the praise he's worthy of. I've been forgiven, and that is why I love him so much. And I've come to pour my praise on him like oil from Mary's alabaster box. Don't be angry if I wash his feet with my tears and I dry them with my hair. You weren't there the night he found me. You did not feel what I felt when he wrapped his love all around me. And you don't know the cost of the oil in my alabaster box. So again, beautiful lyrics. I guess maybe she thinks this is Mary Magdalene, and clearly then that would show her even more biblically ignorant than CC Winans is already. This is where understanding what we sing and hear needs to line up with the Bible. So again, beautiful song, just the wrong Mary. None of what we read was this. No, the room didn't grow still as she made her way to Jesus. There ain't no stumbling. Mary wasn't drunk. Where was this? Where did it ever say there's no place here for her kind? I don't know. I think Lazarus or Martha would have been like, why are y'all disrespecting my sister like that? I know that's probably what I would have said. So again, right, Carly? Absolutely. They have the wrong Mary for a start, it sounds like. So Mike said it was written by Janice. Sure. My mom, really? I did not know that. Well, Janice is totally off too then. So John 11:2, it was that Mary which anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair. That's the same Mary we just read about though tonight. Right. We just read that in John tonight. It's the same one. It's actually in John 12, but it's the same Mary. Right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. I was a little confused there. I'm like, I thought I just read that. But anyway, so that's why again, the song is beautiful, but it's not about this Mary, because there's no other Mary with an alabaster box in the Bible besides this one. Agreed. Okay, I gotcha. So that, my folks, is tonight's. So again, for those who are just now tuning in, I have this week, next week, we're going to go dive into Mary Magdalene. And then the following week, we're going to be being a hodgepodge of all the women in the church age after the church started in Acts chapter 2. And then after that, I would love to keep Wednesday nights short like this, 20 to 30 minutes open for some type of Bible study. So I used to do that on my own, like on Tuesdays with some of these subscribers, and then it just got too much. Um, but if there's a book that you would like for us to dissect or go into, let me know. You can either comment on post, you can send me an email, and all of that. So, because I don't know if I want to stop on Wednesdays, because I really do like diving into the Bible. Again, this is repetitive to some who've already been here, but I do see some more people have joined. So before I get off of this thing, if there's a book that you would like to start dissecting and working in on Wednesday nights after this, Lord willing, closes in the next couple of weeks, just let me know, and we'll do it. Anyway, that is it for this evening. Everybody have an amazingly blessed week. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's going to be quite hot here in Florida. We are going to be near record temperatures. So I think we're going about, I don't know, like low 80s here come Saturday. So for all those who are suffering, I will give you some of my warmth. I am looking forward to it. Actually, I love my vitamin D and I love soaking up the sun, as you guys know. And what that means is now, since the sun is setting a little later, maybe, oh my gosh, snowing in Jersey tomorrow. Well, winter has not sprung here. So it's sprung here for, sorry, Vanessa. It's sprung here for like a week and a half or something like that. And then also, for those who did not catch my video with my praise report regarding my teeth, feel free to listen to that. And are you guys okay if I give you one more praise report from the Lord? Because this is a miracle. Like, I don't know how else to say that. This is, God is amazing. He is. And I did not even ask for this. It was just like a shock to my system, and it still is. So I already told Carly, so she knows what I'm about to say. So for those who do not know, I took out student loans. I have a bachelor's when I went to Ashford University. And then I also got my master's through them in media management. I was planning on doing stuff with Turner, CNN. So anyway, with that being said, I had a pretty sizable student loan. And, I told the Lord that, under the Biden administration, it would stop and start, stop and start. And I told the Lord, listen, I'm not going to have the government pay my debt. If they say, hey, we're going to rid you of your debt or whatever, I promised the Lord that I would continue to pay that debt. I mean, you have to understand, it's someone's paying for it, right? For all those students who have loan forgiveness, discharge, we, the taxpayers, are footing that bill. So anyway, I just told the Lord, that I'll pay it until, I think I told Carly that they're still going to collect money from me while I'm in heaven. Like, Lord, can you just, like, we need her money down here. So through the Biden administration, it would stop. They would put me in forbearance for a little bit, and then it would start up again, start up again. So the latter part of last year, it was picking up again. And so I was getting prepared, mentally, for them to take the money out again for the student loan. Long story made short, I get this email, and it has nothing to do with the government, but my loan has been discharged. Because Ashford University did some shady shenanigans, apparently, and misrepresented what I thought that I was doing. Literally. And not only that, but any money that I have paid out so far to the loan, which is not that much, um, I should say might be refunded to me. Um, I was shocked. So, in all honesty, I said, "Well, I don't know if this is spam. I don't think it's spam." I didn't click on any links. So, I will give you guys an update next month because that's when my payment should resume. I believe it's next month. Um, so when if it does, then I know that it was spam. If it doesn't, then yes, God literally canceled out because he knows I want to buy a home. God knows apartment living is great, and homes around here are so stinking expensive. But I can't do anything. I'm stuck. When you have a student loan, it shows on your credit. It lowers your credit score. So anyway, I don't know how else to say thank you to the Lord without expressing it like this. And I don't say it in a boastful manner because I'm not boasting. I didn't do anything. Here comes zero again. Thank you. This will cover Starbucks. I don't do Starbucks, but I will definitely just use that for podcast stuff. But anyway, but I boast in only Jesus, and I hope you guys understand that. When I boast now tonight in the student loan, it is not like, haha, you're still paying and I'm not. It is God answered a prayer that I did not even know that I was asking, right? And that's maybe he just knew my thoughts deep down. But God, he's just there. And even if he didn't show up, even if I still had to pay the loan, even if my teeth fell out, God, he doesn't have to do anything for me. I hope you guys understand that. God never has to do anything for me. Him sending his son to die for me is enough. Mike, if you're still there, give me a thumbs up because I do want to say this. I don't know if people follow his channel, but he is getting a pretty extensive episode ready on his channel. And when it airs, I'm going to share it on mine because I think it's a very important okay, he's here. It's a very important message, and normally, I'm not in the business of plugging people, but I got a little behind the scenes stuff, I guess, and I'm really excited about this episode that he's doing. And I feel like I don't even have time to even sneeze, right? But I will definitely take time out to listen to this. So if you have not already, go over to Let Us Reason, his channel, hit the little subscribe button, turn on the notifications. But Mike, if you can let us know about what date here in February. I thought you told me the latter part of the month. It's a great episode. It may upset some people. Let's just be real on that. Even when Mike was on the show here, we upset some people. But sometimes when the truth of God's word is spoken, I hope it does upset people because that's what it's supposed to do, right? It's supposed to change us, chisel us, and all that good stuff. So anyway, we'll probably air it in March. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's going to be phenomenal. And anyway, that is it for me tonight. So let us always be thankful for what the Lord does or even doesn't do in our life. Let us remember to love him like Mary loved him. And when we love Jesus, are we coming with everything? Are we coming what is most costly to us? And I can honestly say unequivocally in my life, a lot of times, probably not. And that is why I loved this series, because I myself as a woman had to look internally a lot and talk about the Lord, about a few things. Anyway, Carly, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for everyone showing up. If I didn't babble, we would have been out of here 15 minutes ago. Anyway, y'all have a blessed rest of your evening. And I will put this little thing up and I will say, I will see everybody here, there. Thank you for listening to this week's podcast. If you haven't already, we would love for you to be a part of it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, shoot us an email, questions@lifeclipspodcast.com. And as I always end it, I will see you here, there, or in the air. Titus chapter 2, verse 13. Looking for the blessed hope and the appearing of the glory of our great God and Savior, Christ Jesus.